American football in Finland.
The voice in your ears and the face on your screen. I'm Perfect Purvis, and this is American Football in Finland. Today, I'm joined by my co-hosts, both of them, Coach Q and Chris Green. What's going on, fellas?
What
What
up?
up, what up, what up?
It's good to be back. The AFF podcast is available everywhere you listen to your podcast, and obviously you can see us now visually on YouTube, wherever you listen or watch. Be sure to subscribe, follow, like, all that stuff. And anyone who doesn't, we know you're a hater, and that's okay. We're still going to call you a fan. On to the show. All right, it's first down. We get a chance to start fresh and discuss whatever's on our mind. Coach Q, what's going on with you?
Not much, man. Just sitting around, chilling. It's Friday. I'm ready to get to what we talking about, baby. There ain't much going on other than that.
What about you, Chris? What you got going?
Well, currently I'm in a hotel room in Hamburg in Germany. Got an exhibition game this weekend with the Finland Seahawks, the exhibition team I play for. So, yeah, I'm over in Germany for a few days. So in a hotel room, different setting, but we're still here. We do what we need to do.
Mm-hmm.
At the time of this recording, it is still snowing in Finland, and I swear I about had it out here. That's what's going on with me. I about had it. I went to the store today, and all of a sudden it just started and I'm in Lahti. If anybody knows about Lahti, the snow comes down and it comes in a circle at the same time. It's like this. Like it never just regular. Like you walking one way, and you're like, okay, if I turn, now I'm not going to be getting in the face with snow. Yes, I am, because it's going to go up and around and circle and all that crap. So I'm about done with this. I'm ready to talk football, but I'm also ready to get up out this weather. Finland, come on, man. We got to get this fixed. So let's get into this. All right, so 2024 Maple League season, a lot of changes this year. A lot of teams are doing different things. We're going to get into it. We're going to talk a little bit about one of the teams coming up here in a second. And I just want to make our little disclaimer that this is one of the most competitive years that we've had probably since I've been on this podcast. We really don't know where teams are going to land. So it's going to be really exciting to get into this here in a second. Okay, so today we're talking about the newly named Lohja Crusaders. They're no longer United Newland Crusaders, which I think is really cool because that didn't make sense in the first place because they were called the United Newland Crusaders, but people will call them the UNC Crusaders, which is a double C. You don't need two C's. But now they're the Lohja Crusaders. They've been the Lohja Crusaders for the last 3 years anyways. I think that first season, they actually were two teams. And since then, it's been in Lohja. So that's pretty cool. Let's just hop into it. Biggest changes for the Crusaders. Q, what you got?
They had a heavy presence of American imports last year, but they were missing some key players as far as O-line, just depth in certain positions, DB. But I think this year just went back to understanding that you need a lot of homegrown talent sometimes to have a chance, not just the imports. Strategically pick the imports that we have seen them sign so far. Leggett, D1 running back, previous D1 running back, Tyreek D lineman. So I think they're strategically picking guys to go with what they want to do on the defense and the offense. So, but the biggest change right now would be having the quarterback. I think his name Bryce Messina, something like that.
Yeah.
Probably more of a throw too. But I think Robert is comfortable with the skills that this guy has and able to run an offense. So they will share the quarterback positions for a few games, and I think that had a big part of them not finishing some games just because they didn't have the consistency. But Aloha right now, they probably signed I've seen more signings from them and the Butchers than anybody. So I think they are taking this season pretty serious. The competitor that he is, he want to be in the mix, and I think they're in the right step. I don't know how much depth they'll have or how much experience they're going in the right direction right now. Losing a running back that pretty much did everything for you last year, that's a big change. But now I think the ball around a little more, and they have a better chance of not really having to count on just one or two people on the offense.
What about you, Chris? What are you thinking biggest change for this squad?
Biggest change? You just said it. Their name. No, I'm joking. I'm not gonna waste it with that.
I had never thought about that. I really like biggest change, their name. That's a good one. That's a good one.
Yeah, I think similar. I'm piggybacking a little bit off Q here, but yeah, I mean, we always know that the Crusaders. I'm just gonna call them the Crusaders, but they always sign a lot of imports. I know as well that they're trying to get a couple more in. My sources tell me, some people I know are trying to be tapped up. So it'd be interesting to see how many more they get. But like you said, they've got some good Americans in. I'm not really sure how they're managing their offensive Americans, because they've got a quarterback who's American, they've got an O-line, and they've got a running back. So I'm guessing the O-line maybe has a dual passport. I don't know.
No, you're allowed to have an American O-line now.
Okay, so that's a rule
That's the
change.
new rule. That's the new rule.
Okay, right.
Yeah.
So something I wasn't aware of then. So every day's a school day. But yeah, so that'll be interesting this season as well. Seeing that, how many teams do adopt that? Obviously, Lohja going for that. So yeah, that's a good change for them. I think bringing in an American offensive line is only gonna help their local talent, and it looks like they are trying to source some more local talent. So it'd be interesting to see the mix between their new imports and the local talent that they're getting.
Yeah, I agree with both of you guys. I think you're basically explaining the team is, it's very import heavy, but they kind of have to be. It's one of those teams that they don't have like a juniors program, I don't think, and not a real one anyways. If they do have juniors, and then they also don't have a lot of like Lohja guys. Even if we look at their roster, a lot of those guys we're gonna say, oh, he's from Porvoo, or he's from the Wolverines, or he's from Turku, or like he's from this team.
It looks like, sorry to butt in, it does look like that they're signing a few of the youth guys from Turku as well.
Mm-hmm.
So it looks like that's where they're getting that kind of void, that they don't have that junior program. They're trying to get some from Turku. So interesting to see that and how that plays out for them this year as well.
And I mean, I guess this isn't the biggest change, but I just need to put this out there before the season started, that I still have the same feeling I had about this team last year and the year before, where I feel like they're the team that, as a team, I don't want to be too specific about team and organization, but them being in the Maple League is the crutch of the Maple League. It's the Achilles heel of the Maple League, because this is the only team that isn't sound from top to bottom. Like what I just said, they don't have a juniors program. They don't have any other team. The best team in Lohja is actually the Lohja women team. There's no play. You can't name 10 players from Lohja. And that's a team in the Maple League, and that's a recipe for disaster. And they just keep band-aiding it together. And the biggest change about this squad for me would be that the coaching staff isn't going to be led by, a Finnish head coach this year. And I think that's something that last year, that's probably where they had a lot of turmoil from imports. They had a lot of imports. They had Finnish coaching staff, and then they had a very few homegrown Finnish people. So, like, who's in charge? Who's taking on leadership role? We've heard about, their practices and who showed up and who didn't. And I ain't going to put nobody's business out there, but they know who showed up and who didn't all across the board. And that's something that they have to get over going into this season. But that's a change, because now they have a consistent staff. I think that they have Rojo, doing his thing. They brought in Jason Thomas, and they're planning on using the imports that come in as player coaches. I'm not sure how that's going to work 100%, but if we know anything, a lot of these Americans, especially when they're recruiting other Americans, you get on the same page really quickly compared to, the Finnish coach trying to put his culture into the team and the American imports. Like there's usually a lot of dissent there. And again, at higher on different teams and higher organizations is not an issue. But for a team like this, they have no identity. So it's really easy to get lost in it, especially when you're bringing in a lot of imports from Europe, a lot of American imports. It's like who's going to be in charge? Who's going to be a leader? Another change that they have is, like you said, they're getting a lot of young players from Finland. They're not getting, like seasoned vets that have been playing everywhere. They're getting young guys from Turku, young guys from Helsinki, young guys from all over the country. And I think that has something to do with that culture change as well as, you can't get rid of somebody with bad habits, but you can mold a youth. If he's been playing for Turkey for a couple of years, they haven't really, established a culture down there in Turku. But you bring them up here, you say, hey, this is how we're going to do it here in Lohja. We're able to do it that way. I think that's the biggest change for them is trying to actually build a Lohja culture. I mean, obviously changing the name was the first step because now they're the Lohja Crusaders. But I think that's it for biggest changes for this team.
Calling all youth football players. Are you ready to shine this midsummer? Join us at the AFF Nordic Challenge, June 18th through 21st in Helsinki. Showcase your skills to USA college coaches, train with some of the top coaches in Europe, and compete in one-on-ones. Get insider tips at exclusive recruiting sessions and seize international opportunities. You can even win big with camp-sponsored prizes. Space is limited, so register now.
All right, I'm here with Lohja Crusaders head coach Robert Johnson, aka Rojo. Welcome back to the podcast, man.
I appreciate you having me, man. It's been a long time, man. I'm happy to
It
work
it
with you.
has it has been a while. It's good to talk to you again. Uh, you know what? I got like a list of like basic questions I normally ask, but I gotta ask you
Yeah.
different questions because you're a different guy. First question I want to ask is what are your thoughts and feelings about the kind of the change that the Crusaders are going through with leaning in on being Lohja, renaming the I think the actual like team name was changed as well to match the Lohja Crusaders for the football team. What do you think about like all the change going on in that organization? What's your initial
Mm,
thoughts just from the offseason? Because a lot changed in the offseason from that team from last year to this year, kind of going from UNC to Lohja Crusaders, and you've been involved. So I just kind of wanted to get a quick feedback from you.
all right. Well, it makes sense to call it the Lohja because we play in Lohja. I don't know where
Yeah.
the new land come from. Maybe it's from like Honko and Lohja put together, but it makes sense. But the change wise, we lost, to YP Heikkinen, the head one of the supposed to be one of the top coaches here in Finland. Kari, so we lost a lot of coaches, and I think that with losing those names and stuff, that kind of made us a little setback a little bit, you know. But other than that, though, we gained, Jason Thomas as a coach who knows the game and has taught me a lot. That's what I've been learning from, and the players here, even the young juniors and the women also, they taking a liking to Jason. And I think that's the biggest change here because the players and everybody like the way, Jason coaches. And I think that's the biggest change that the players wants to be there now because it's really not much criticism and not having to like, how you afraid to make a mistake and things like that. Now
Mm-hmm.
guys are not afraid to make their mistakes because they know, we're gonna correct them and everything like that. So I think that's the biggest change in my opinion.
Oh, that's awesome. That's good that you have that insight on that. Talking a little bit more about you and your decision to stay at UNC and now become the head coach. What is your main reasoning for continuing UNC and what you expect to accomplish going into the season? It's kind of like a two-sides question.
Yeah, well, I think the reason why I decided to stay is because I'm looking for that challenge. You have to have a different type of mindset to coach here in the league. And the reason why, because you're not going to get that the type of players that the Roosters get, or the type of players that the Butchers or Vaza get, and we don't have a junior program. Well, we just got a junior program now. We have like 9 to 10 guys, so we don't have a junior program to choose from, to build those players up. So you have to, being a coach here at Lohja, you have to understand, you have to teach. You're not gonna get players that's already developed, so you're gonna have to develop the players, and that's why I stay, because I welcome that challenge, because I want players to grow, and I want players to experience what I have experienced, what you experience, and you want to give those guys that hope, that motivation to know that they can try to at least have a chance to go farther than Finland. That's why I chose, to stay here. And because we have a lot of young guys and a lot of new guys that never really played the game. Once they step on that field at practice, they start liking it. Then they start getting excited. Then you say, hey, you might see a player like, hey man, I think you probably can go play somewhere over there in Europe or something. Or you might, you probably can go play in high school, just to see how this thing really is. You got to be able to motivate those guys. So that's why I stayed. I stayed for the challenge.
Okay. All right. So talking a little bit more about the actual team this year, I know you said it before, you got a lot of young guys, but you also are going to have a lot of new guys on the team, guys that weren't there last season. Going into this season compared to last year's team, what kind of improvements or major changes can we expect from the Lohja Crusaders?
Well, I think I can tell you what, though, we'll be able to finish games. We're gonna know how to close out games. I can tell you that. That's one big thing. But like I said earlier, like we have a bunch of new players, so it's gonna take a while for us to gel, especially when the imports come in. The most important thing, like it's like the imports that we have now, they're gonna have to understand the type of players that we have. We have a lot of guys that coming from straight out of college, and then they come into this local environment. They're not going to the Roosters, or they're not going to Coopy or the Butchers, where they're gonna have those numbers of players to depth and guys that really know the game, like they kind of knew it back home. But I think you're gonna expect us to be able to compete. You're gonna see that the guys gonna be able. You're gonna see the guys playing hard. Actually, man, we got some new guys from Turkey, man. That's going to be real good. That's going to be real good. And who's going to really help us? And I have this young
Well,
receiver, man.
you know what? That's my next question anyway. So let's go into it.
Yeah,
Name some players. Throw out some names that people
yeah.
need to, learn
Hey,
or be ready to see going into the season.
hey, man, look, man, this receiver, man. I promise you, dog. I promise you. I know this receiver stuff. Hey, Oscar Suriname, man. This kid, man, he is ex-basketball player. He's 18 years old, still in high school right now. But this boy, he's a dog. When I say he's a dog, man, he's a dog. He will be probably the best finished wide receiver. He got speed, he got size. He's like 6'2". You know what I'm saying? And he's like about
Hold,
180.
hold on, hold on. Let's pump the
Boy
brakes.
is
You
a
say he's
dog
the best. He'll be the best finished receiver on your team, or you
in
saying
the
in the
in the
league? Because that's a
in
bold
the league.
take.
In the league, he will be the best because now he got a dog at quarterback who's gonna beat.
Hold
I'm gonna
on,
make sure
hold
we
on,
feed it
hold
to him.
on. I know a lot of finished receivers. I know some veteran finished receivers, some 10-time all-star finished receivers who would, take that as a slight. I ain't gonna throw out no names, but
But
you put it out there, so I needed to, let everybody know. Oscar
I'm
Suriname, right? Is it Suriname?
Oscar
Is that how you say his name?
Suriname. I'm putting it
Suriname.
out there now.
Okay.
Suriname. I'm
Oscar
putting it out there
Suriname.
now. He will
All
be the
right.
best finished receiver out here. I've coached a lot of great finished receiver. Kimmy, you know what I'm saying? I coach those guys. I know because I see it. The boy, hey, my goal my goal for him is for him to elevate, to get away from Finland. He dominated here this year. We're gonna try to get him away. We want him to dominate so he can go to the next level because I think he can play at the next level. And I promise you, you're gonna
Okay.
see that, Purvis. You're gonna see it, big
Okay.
dog. He's a dog.
That's it. I'm
Like
excited to
Dion
see
say,
it.
he's a
I'm excited
dog.
to see it.
Huh?
I'm
Uh-huh.
excited to see it. So,
Also, we
like I
have.
said, go ahead.
I'm sorry about that, Purvis. Also, we have this young linebacker, Jimmy Grunland, man. He played for Turkey. Also, he's with the Finnish national team maybe like 2 years ago, juniors, man. He's gonna be pretty good at linebacker this year, man. Hey, I'm telling you, with Monte coming in, he's gonna coach them boys. See, we're gonna have player coaches also, guys that this guy, I think Jimmy gonna be great. We got R2 Kenton coming back from the Wolverines. I think you played with him
I know
when he was
R2.
there.
That's one of my favorite young DBs before he got injured. I know exactly who
Yeah,
that is, so that's exciting to
yeah,
see.
yeah. He's coming back this season, man. He's gonna make an impact in the secondary. And we have AK finished linebacker who was like third in the league in tackles last season. So he's gonna be
Hmm.
good. So we have some upcoming finished talent, man, that can possibly help us. The only thing is we just don't have that depth like everybody else. It's just the depth for us.
Well, that's my question then. How are you planning to get over that obstacle of depth? Like that's going to be an issue every week. And how are you
Yeah.
planning to finish games without that depth? How are you planning to make sure your team's able to still get wins or be more successful without the depth? Like, what's your strategy? If you're okay with telling that to us.
Well, that's it's pretty simple. Like we have to be first. We have to start at practice in the film room. We have to be more efficient at practice, and like
Hmm.
we can't have a 2 hour practice because we don't have the depth. Because anything happens at practice. So we got to make sure our practice is efficient, and we have to get them out in a good period of time. Make sure we still get the good work in, but the most important thing gonna have to be the film also. So we're gonna have to really study the film. And so when we get into games, we're gonna have to make sure that the talent gonna drop off with the second string. You know what I'm saying? So we got to make sure if we watch this film with these guys, we got to make sure we have to put those guys that is not as talented and we're gonna have to try to find a way to hide them, but put them in a position to not get dominated, if you understand what I'm saying. So we're gonna have to figure a way
Yeah.
out to hide. Yeah, so that's what we're gonna have to do. And but for the most part though, that depth is gonna kill us. But if we can come out there and be efficient at practice first and film and figure a way out to how to hide those guys with a talent drop off, I think we'll be fine.
All right. Okay. Last question. I'm gonna let you get out of here, Rojo. Going
Yeah.
into this season, a lot of changes across the league, you guys included. A lot of teams look
Hmm.
different than last year. Even last year's champions. I mean, I've already chose them as the clear front runners for this year. But even
That's
that
fine.
team, similar to what they did last year, there's a lot of change. Like you can't bank on anybody winning the championship this year. So there's a lot of changes, a lot of storylines. You personally, what are you excited about seeing in the 2024 Maple League season?
Nothing. Nothing.
So
Because we
nothing.
got because I'm focused on what Lohia does. You know what I'm saying? Like
Okay.
we taking it one game at a time. We got to get ready for a good team coming up. Coopio still is the first game of the season, so I'm not excited about none of that stuff. That stuff don't matter to me
What
because
are you
I
excited
want
about then? What are you excited about?
nothing because I'm trying to keep an even kill. It's an even kill,
Okay.
bro.
Okay.
I don't want to go out there and like be so excited and get my hopes so like because you got to understand. Like I say, we don't have the depth and we don't. It, it's difficult to coach in low here. I can tell you that. Like you got to have a different mindset. So I have to go in there with an even kill, and I have to go out there and be realistic. You have to. I can't. I give my player like. Of course, I'm gonna talk. Talk my players up. Let them get ready. You know what I'm saying? Do their thing. But as a coach, I have to go out there being realistic and with the even kill mind. Like, okay, shit, man, let's get this thing going. You know what I'm saying? Like, man, that's a lot of shit I want to say, man. So I'm trying not to be like I ain't trying to be that dude no more. You know what I'm saying?
No,
Like
you're good.
I'm
You're good, man.
trying.
You're talking honestly about the situation. There's nothing wrong with that. You're talking about
Yeah.
what it really is like. A lot of people wouldn't be
Uh-huh.
so honest and transparent. One thing just to go in here a little bit is I understand that you guys are in a tough situation, especially with the depth issue that you
Uh-huh.
have with not having a juniors team to kind of pull from. But
Uh-huh.
what I do see as a positive is that you guys are kind of like I don't want to say like close knit, but it seems like everyone's on the same page. Does that make sense? you don't have any. It don't seem like you have too much of people having the wrong idea about what the goals are. And that leads me to my actual last question, because I got to finish on a good question. Is if you were to tell us a couple of the goals you guys have going into the season, what would some of those goals be?
All right. Well, go off of what you were saying about the. Then I asked you a question about the dedication and the close knit. Yeah, the players that are there, they are very dedicated, and then when they there, they do work hard. So, but with the goals, it's just to take it one game at a time. And I pray and I hope that when they come down to Lohja, man, they underestimate us.
There you go.
You know what I'm saying? That's what I'm hoping, that they underestimate us. And I guarantee you, every team is gonna say, "Man, we ain't shit." I mean, we ain't. I'm sorry. Can I cuss on here?
Yeah, you can do what you want. You
Yeah,
good?
I think every team gonna come down here and say, "Man, we finna fuck, we finna dominate these motherfuckers." That's what I hope they come out here and think, not knowing that we got something in the bag and we gonna be ready. They just
Well,
don't
that's
want
all I need to hear right there. That's all I need to hear. Rojo, thank you for coming on the podcast, man. You answered the
Yeah.
questions as honestly as I've ever heard them, and that's what we love about having you on here. And good luck to you and the Lohja Crusaders going into the 2024 Maple League season.
All right, man. Appreciate you having me, man. Hey, look, man, you got to come to this first game, man, and let you, so you can see what
Look,
these
no.
dogs, what these dogs we gonna have out there. You need to come and see
First of all, let me
for
throw this
yourself.
out there. I still need my UNC hat. I still need a hat. Ellie sent me a message saying that y'all have them now. I need to fit it so I
hmm
can, on the podcast. And two, I'm not going out to Lohja. It's just not gonna
I
happen.
can tell you this though. I already know when y'all have y'all little hat decision, it ain't gonna be much of Lohja up there. But by the middle of the
But if I
season, I hope that Lohja hat start being on the podcast a little more.
well, so just you got to give me the hat. That's what I'm saying. You got to give me the hat. I think since UNC's been in the league, I think I've picked them for 2 games in 2 or 3 years. So
hmm
if y'all give me a hat, I'm willing to make that controversial decision and pick the Crusaders. So again, thanks for coming on the podcast, man, and we'll talk
Yeah.
to you soon.
All right, let's talk about obstacles to overcome for the Lohja Crusaders. Chris, you lead this one off. What's the obstacle you think they're going to have to overcome?
I think you touched on it a little bit on the last segment, but the biggest obstacle for them is finding their identity. We've said it about their offense time and time again over the past few seasons since they've been the Crusaders. We really struggle to see what type of team are they. Are they a run first team? Are they a pass first team? Are they an air raid team? Rojo's famous for the air raid offense, as we all know. Like, what is their identity going to be this season? It'll be interesting to see what Rojo puts his spin on it. And now that he's in charge of the team, what is going to happen with this team, and how are they going to find their identity? Because once they find it, they've got the potential to be a playoff caliber team.
Mm-hmm.
There's no reason why they can't be in the top 4 at the end of the season. Do I think they're a bowl contender? No. But they are potentially a playoff team this season if they can get the pieces in the right place and overcome the obstacle of what's our offensive identity? What are we going to do each game? And are we going to be consistent with that process throughout the season?
What about you, Q? What do you got for them? Sorry.
I think the main thing would be the biggest will probably be creating an identity, and not going through the growing pains of doing of having to do that. You somewhat want to have that winning early while you're trying to create and figure out who you are as a team. You also want to get some wins during that time. So I think that's the biggest obstacle, is about who you can count on, who's going to show up every game, what kind of team are you going to have? You know what I'm saying, in the midst of winning. That's why I used to be a big fan of the preseason games, because I believe that shows you a lot, and it gives some of your imports, see what the other players can do. It gives them time to kind of mesh with the guys, because just showing up a month before the season and then having depth, not really understanding what's going on as a whole, you basically learning while you're going through the season. And I think that just kind of give you an unfair advantage, especially in Finland, because you got teams like Porvoo, you got teams like Kuopio who seem to put that together real early in the season. They seem together, and I think a lot of that is because they train, for a long time before the season. So to me, the biggest obstacle is just them trying to figure out who they are as a team, and what they do good and what they don't do that great and what they need to work on in the midst of still trying to win games. So to me, I think that's the biggest thing. It's offensive minds in Europe at the head coach position now. He doesn't have anybody else to, kind of chime in and say we should do that. You know what I mean? Now it's all Rojo. So I think they'll be all right, though, honestly. Like, I don't even want to say I don't think they're going to be a contender, because if they put the right players in the right positions, in Finland, anything is possible. Like if it's up in the air. We thought the team that was down last year was going to win it hands down. They did. So to say that a team can go 6-4 or whatever it is and win, then yeah, you know what I mean? Like I won't count Rojo out ever. I've been around too long to say that none of his teams won't have a chance, but I think the biggest obstacle is trying to figure out who they are in the midst of trying to win the game.
Yeah, I agree with both of you guys about those obstacles so far. I would have to add that the depth on that team is what I think is going to be an obstacle. We saw it last year from not this exact team, but from this club last year. There was times when we thought they were, the best thing smoking out there. And then there'd be games where they just didn't have enough players. They started having injuries. Players got recruited to play elsewhere. Some of their best defensive backs ended up leaving, mid-season to play in the ELF. Stuff like that happens. And then you look at, okay, next man up mentality is what we were taught, but that's not what they have. They don't actually have next man. There is nobody. It's either this little kid, and they're one of those teams that every year we look on the sidelines and there's like 7 or 8 people on the sidelines when they're on the field, and you're like, hold on, let me do my math. The math ain't mathing. Like, you're not even too deep at all the positions. And I don't expect them to be able to, remedy that this season by bringing in a whole bunch of imports who have to start and play special teams. What I expect is that they're going to have to figure out ways to stay healthy all year. But the biggest obstacle they have to overcome is going to be the depth and being able to, get over that adversity when it happens, because it will happen. It's a 15-week season. Like, it's a long time to be playing football to go injury-free or not be able to miss a game or two. And what they do in those times is going to really define this team. That's the difference between them not making the playoffs last year. Between the end of their season, where they started off, they win like 3 or 4 games early in the season and then just didn't win for the last month and a half. That's what happens, is they didn't have any depth and they lost their starters and they weren't able to do anything. So I do think that's going to be one obstacle, and that's pretty much all the obstacles we got for them. All right, I'm here with Jason Thomas, defensive coordinator for the Lohja Crusaders. Jason, welcome to the podcast, man.
Thanks very much. It's been a long time. It's good to see you.
Yeah, good to see you too, man. We're going to talk football. First thing I'm going to ask is, what made you decide to, join the Crusaders bunch this season? What was your deciding factors in joining that squad and helping them on the defensive side?
No, just didn't have anything else to do. I had an opportunity and decided I would still enjoy it, like spreading the game over here in Europe to the best of my ability. So I wanted to take the opportunity to continue doing that.
All right. So also want to get a little bit into you guys' improvements from last season. Defensively, if we stay on the defensive side, the Crusaders defense wasn't bad last year. I wouldn't say that, but I will say that there was times where they were inconsistent, and that's kind of what led to a lot of big plays more than it was like teams just, grinding it out against them. So for you going into this season, what is something that you're trying to, implement or trying to change about this defense to ensure that they can be a little bit more consistent this year?
Well, I'm not. I can't really speak on last year. I was in a different division, and so all I can say is that we just got to get in and understand the playbook and make sure that everybody understands their responsibilities. And that's what's going to help to limit the big plays, because we don't want those things to happen. And so just trying to, take advantage of the offense the best that we can to try to help to dictate the game the way that we want it to be played. So that's the focus.
Okay. And then speaking a little bit onto the roster, you've been with the guys in the off season, so you got to know a couple of them pretty well. Who are some of the defensive players that we need to look out for the Lohja team this year? Some guys who are going to be either contributing or even standout starters for you. Some names that we might not know. Got a couple of guys you want to throw out there?
I'm still learning guys' names because I just kind of got around there, and so there's Jimmy, and but last names are not so good
First
for me
names is
right now.
fine. First
Yeah,
names is fine.
the linebackers, and then Jonas. He's been around the team for a while. He's liable to make some impact this year also. And so I think our box is going to be fairly good this year, and we just have to see how everything else goes. I mean, Yarish is supposed to be coming down and playing with us this season also, so we should be pretty stout inside. And we just have our imports come over and help to fill in the spots and make us better.
Okay. Oh, speaking of which, I'm not even sure what your import situation is on the defensive side. You guys bringing in what positions for imports? Just to ask.
Linebacker, defensive tackle, and
Okay.
we still might get one more. Not sure yet. That's
Okay.
up
So
in
up
the air.
front. So nobody
Mhm.
in the secondary part. Okay, that's interesting.
Mm.
But
Yeah, yeah.
I've been told that you have some guys that you're expecting to step up on the defensive side. Actually, I talked to Rojo earlier, and I'm
Mm.
pretty sure he said he was talking about. Man, why do I get these names confused? But I think it was R2 Kiptonen. It's
Mm-hmm.
one of my
Yeah.
favorite Helsinki kids slash
Mm.
man now, I guess. How old is that guy? Like, I
Yeah.
mean, what is he, like 20 now? And known him since
Yeah,
he was like
something like that.
15. Yeah.
Yeah.
And
He's been
when you
around
know him
for a
as a
while, but
kid,
he's still real young. Yeah.
yeah, when
So
you know him as a kid, you
he's
always
been
see him
looking
as a
really good.
kid.
Yeah, he's been looking really good in the off season also. So and there's a few other guys that have been showing up at practice and been working really hard and getting better every time. And so we're really excited about that. And then to be able to have our whole team at practice to really see what it is that we have and to really organize how we want to put the defense together. That's what I'm looking forward to. But that's still going to take a little while to get that done.
I understand that. So
Mm.
another question going into the season, you know, you're new DC. Rojo was there last year, but I've been told, there's some new players, new blood in there. What is something that you're trying to like kind of get across to the players as a new staff compared to last year? Like, what are some of the goals that you're trying to accomplish going into this season? Like things that you want to make sure are staples of your team.
Well, speaking purely defensively, it just
Yeah, yeah.
mentality. We have to have a Warriors mentality, and I'm like definitely old school minded, and that's so. I want that displayed out on the field. And
Hmm.
I won't accept anything else besides that. So we're going to be physical, and the other teams are just going to have to hate us, and we don't care. That's
Okay.
how it
All
is.
right. Yeah,
Mhm.
hate us and we don't care. I like that.
Mhm.
Last question I got for you, Jason, then I'm gonna let you get out of here. This season, there's been a lot of talk about, it could be anybody's season in the Maple League. There's been a lot of change. Even the team that technically won it last year doesn't really put a lot of fear into everyone else. No offense to them, but everyone feels like they have an opportunity to win the Maple League or even win the Maple Bowl this year. What are you most excited about in this league this year in 2024? Like, what about this league or the setup excites you personally?
That we get to play like all the top teams, like right at the beginning of the season. So, I
Mm,
mean, what better way to get it started and just, attack, attack, attack. I mean, I didn't pay attention to the Maple League last year because, like I said, I was in a different division, so it
hmm
didn't matter. All right, so we're coming up there to do the best that we can and give everybody everything that we got for however minutes that has to be played per game. And, then we just walk out of there with our heads held high and we move on to the next game, But that's just how it is. I don't have any expectations. I just want to go out there and play hard nosed football. And that's what
I can appreciate that. Go out there and play football. That's all you need to do. Well, Jay, I appreciate your time. Appreciate you coming on the interview. Good luck to you and the Crusaders this season. Hope y'all have lots of success and are able to get things accomplished.
All right. Thank you very much, Purvis. I appreciate everything. All right. And good luck to you with your podcast for the rest of however long you want to run
it. Hey there, fans of American football in Finland. Want to show some love and support to your favorite podcast? For just €3, you can buy us a cup of coffee and help keep our podcast running strong. But why stop at one cup? Why not support each host with a cup? Visit buymeacoffee.com and show your support today. Cheers to keeping the conversation going.
All right, let's talk keys to success for the Lohja Crusaders. And you know what? I'm going to take this one first. For them to be successful, they will have to play good defense. I think that's something that they just weren't able to do consistently last year. And again, this isn't the same team, but that's something that they're going to have to expect either their Finnish players to step up this year or their import players to make, a crazy amount of plays. And if I'm not mistaken, they don't have a lot of back end defensive imports, right? I don't know. I'm not 100%.
Not
familiar.
right. Yeah, not right now.
Secondary wise, that's where last year you had Slater and Andy Vetta doing kind of their thing for them. And then when both of those guys left, it went crazy. And they put RJ back there. And he did really good. He had a lot of interceptions and stuff. But again, that's not what you want. You don't want your best receiver playing defense. So you need to have someone else that can do that for you. And we saw even when he was able to do that, it kind of took away from his production on the offensive side when he played defense. And that's just how the game is. No knock on him or anything. But I think for them to have a good season, they're gonna score points. Rojo offense always scores points. I don't know, someone should go and do the history of any offense led by Robert Johnson in the last he got over here in 2008. So last 15 years. I don't think he's ever I don't think he's ever averaged less than 30 points a game. That's his average, 30 points, 300 yards of offense, because his offense, if you stop the pass, he starts to run. You stop the run, he starts to throw. Either way, he's going to get his yards, he's going to get his points. Let me throw out an anecdote while I have it in my mind. I remember last time I played in the Rojo offense, we scored 48 points in the championship.
Why are you bringing up those memories again?
Because it's so funny. We scored 48 points. That's how many points the offense scored. And we gave up, how many was it? 70?
Yeah, it's somewhat crazy like that. Yeah, it wasn't great. It wasn't a great day for us, was it?
Yeah, that's also one of the things that kind of goes with having such a successful offense, is that it means the defense has to play a lot. So for them to be successful and do what they want to do on offense, their defense has to be able to make stops. And I think that's going to be something that hopefully Jason Thomas is able to bring to the team, and that Rojo is able to kind of lean on his players and tell them hey, we need to make stops as well as score. We're going to score, but we also got to make stops. I think defense is something that they have to do to be successful in this season. I think it'll be the difference between them making the playoffs or not is how many games they stop the other teams or create turnovers and takeaways. What about you, Chris? What is something you think they have to do as a key to success?
I'm going to say a mixture of a couple things. I'm going to say quarterback play, because we know with Rojo's air raid system, I'm guessing that's what he's going to run again. That's what he's always run. Can this quarterback distribute the ball well to his playmakers? We obviously know about RJ. We know he's not the same player he used to be, but he's still got life in the tank, and he's still going to be a machine.
Hey! Don't be trying to knock RJ like he wasn't dominant last year at receiver.
Oh, he was.
He was mossing people in the back of that end zone. Anytime you threw him the ball, he made big plays. It's just he's not as consistent when you have to put him on defense.
So we're saying he's not the player he was. He might not be that league MVP, but do we have him? How high do we have him on the rankings? I forget. Now I'm just
not as high. Probably not as high.
Well, he won the MVP, didn't he, last year for the Crusaders MVP? Their in-house rewards. So I'm not trying to knock the guy. Trust me, I'm a real big fan of RJ.
I just had to put out that disclaimer. I had to put it out there.
I get what you're saying. No, I completely understand your side and what you're saying, but he's still, like I said, he's still going to ball out. He's still going to be the guy for them, but he's not the guy of old. We know that, but he's still a great player and he's going to do well. So if they take him away, defenses take him away, what other weapons is this quarterback going to do? I don't know if he's much of a runner. I haven't seen his tape. One of you guys might know more of that, but he's a D2 guy, right? I think like D2. Yeah. So, he's played at a good standard already. Depending on, I don't know like I said, if he's a runner or not, but and then the other thing I'm going to say is offensive line play, because we know historically their offensive line have not been great in the past. So when you've got a quarterback and who's going to be your playmaker, you've got to give him time. You've also got to give your running backs. You've got an import running back. You've got to give him lanes to run through. Okay, and they haven't done that very well. The running backs that they've had in the past have made plays on their own. It's not been due to good offensive line play. It's been because the running backs are so good. They're making guys miss in the backfield. So can this offensive line hold up, stay healthy, protect the quarterback, and give the running back lanes that he needs to give? So I think a mixture of quarterback and offensive line play is going to be a big key to success for the Crusaders this year.
Yeah, I just want to pile on a little bit about that quarterback play, because you got my mind thinking about it. Is their offense totally changed once the first quarterback came in. He had the shoulder injury.
Yeah, he stunk it up. There was no shoulder injury. He stunk it up.
and I don't think he just stunk it up per se. It's just he didn't run. He stood in there, took sacks, and couldn't get rid of the ball because of the pressure. They brought in Riley Odell, and all Riley did pretty much was move. He moved around enough to make plays. And I think is it Bryce Messina? Is that how you say his name?
Yeah, Bryce. Yeah, Bryce Messina.
Yeah. As long as he comes in and he's able to be athletic, you don't have to necessarily be a runner first, but he's able to be athletic to make up for that line, I think they'll be fine. But you're right. It was night and day for them last year. At one quarterback, and the crazy part is that quarterback can run. He just didn't. We saw a film of him running in college and playing elsewhere in Europe, but when he came to UNC last year, he just didn't run, and it wasn't great for them. But they brought another guy who he was out of there. Whenever there was trouble, he was gone, and it worked out for them really well. They just weren't able to get the wins that they needed to get into the playoffs. I think this year you're right that quarterback play is going to have a lot to do with how successful they are. Q, what about you? What do you got for keys to success for this team?
I think the main thing is just finding the consistent offense enough to put the points on the board. I think. I'm sorry. Sometimes you've seen that Rojo can put up points over the years, like you say, Purvis. We know if he has the right quarterback and just a little bit of time, then his offenses are going to work. So I think that's the main thing they got to do. Even in Finland, you still have to have a strong running game in order for your passing game to. And I think that's why they signed the American running back is to get to set up a standard. Basically, he's a little bigger back. Probably is going to be more of straight up game. He got some moves, but I think it'll be more of a get up field type of thing. Want to get out of here, then, and then that'll open up, the passing game. That'll open up the air raid. If that's what they're running, it'll open it up. So I think the main thing is to get play, and then just get that running game going, and then that'll open everything up for the pass. So if they really want to have success, they'll find a way to do that both ways. They'll do that with the guys that they sign to come in. You know what I mean? The guys that they got to play offense, let them play offense. If you need them Sometimes that's cool, but I would think you got your best chances when you guys that are there to play offense are playing strictly offense. So like RJ, RJ could have a 15, 16 touchdown season again if he didn't have to play defense.
Mm-hmm.
I
Amen.
just think he's every season that in that type of shape with that type of mindset. Quarterback play as a receiver, you can only do so much. You know what I'm saying? Like, all right, well, I'm gonna help out when I can. We're just trying to figure it out. Like, you can't expect some of your seasons to go like the past ones, but you
Didn't they
still know
have
when
him
who
play
you got your
quarterback
money
last
on.
year?
Yeah, even had to play quarterback again. Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So like, you're
Mm.
going through a season like that where you can't really focus on doing what you need to do on your team because a play from now or 2 plays from now, I'm gonna have to go on defense. So you kind of almost saving yourself, on drives. We probably ain't for the score right now. So let me, I gotta go on defense
Yeah.
and that type of thing. So I think for them to just have real success, they need to have a consistent offense that can put up points, don't turn the ball over, control the clock, control the possessions. Because when you don't have depth, that's something that you can't. Your defense on the field all the time. You can't just,
Mm-hmm.
that's a killer. Now your offense being on the field, that's what you want. That's what you really want. Like that's cool. You keep your offense is moving the ball however they need to, but you can't have 3-and-outs consistently, punting the ball consistently, and expect to have success. It starts with the O-line and the running game for the Crusaders.
Yeah, that makes sense.
Mm.
Last thing before we, get out of here is it seems like, just trying to sum up what we've been saying about them, it's a lot of unknowns and a lot of holes to fill.
Yeah.
Like it's a good team, but there's just a lot to overcome for this team. But again, if anybody can do it, they can. They're in the right position to do it. They have the right personnel, and they have the good situation to do it this season when everything is up in the air in the Maple League. So with that, we'll move on. All right, that's it for this episode of American Football in Finland. Any last words before we get out of here, fellas?
Before we go, I spent a little time while Q was doing his last segment looking at Bryce's film because I wanted to look at what type of quarterback he was, and I haven't had a chance to see his film. So I watched about a minute and a half of it. His escapability is very good. So if he does
Damn
have
right.
poor offensive line play, he can definitely get out of there, and he can run. The boy can run. I just watched, I think 45 seconds in, he breaks off a big run, and he's got a good arm on him. He looks good, to be fair. Like I've just watched 1 minute 36 of his highlights, and he does look good. So I can't wait to see him play. To be honest, so be interested to see what they do then.
That's credit to a good highlight. Anybody listening or watching, because people are constantly sending me highlights and like, hey, what do you think of my film? And I tell them I'm only watching 2 minutes.
Yep, right.
And like you said, you watch a minute in and you can tell if they got it or they don't. And if you don't put the right plays in that first couple of minutes, then you're just doing yourself a disservice. So here's a little public service announcement. When you're making your highlights, put good plays early. And it doesn't have to be long plays. It just has to be good plays where we can see what you can do. And then put all the specifics. I can do this. I can do that. I don't care about all that stuff. Catch the attention first and then do all the other stuff later. And anything over 2.5 minutes, you're fronting. You're out here you're making a music video or something. That's what that is, which is cool when you send it back to the homies. But when you're doing a highlight tape for recruiting purposes, 2 minutes, 2.5 minutes tops. Give me exactly what you got. Somebody like Chris Green will look at the film 1 minute in and be like, I know he got it. That's all it is. Sorry, I had to throw that in there.
No, you're completely right, and I thought you were going to say something like that because I know we've had a discussion about this before. So putting it on the air and saying that you're completely right because most recruiters will not look at the film for more than 2 minutes. They just won't. Yeah. So you put your best plays in the first 2 minutes. That's what you do. So you're completely right. But yeah, I mean, he looks like he can ball, and I can't wait to see him play.
What about you, Q? Any last words?
Yeah, just good luck to them guys, man. We know they're gonna bring us some. Jason Thomas, man. One of my biggest mentors, however you want to use it. When I first got to Finland, You know, I'm continuing to come to Finland, and it's good to see that he's still around. The sport he played for a long time, still probably can't play. He probably won't. Just shout out to
I
Jason, man,
guarantee you, we're gonna see Jason Thomas in a pair of pads at some point.
He'll be in kit on the sideline with his clipboard.
Yeah, he'll put them on and just go to the sideline and be like, just in case something pop off. Like that's
just in
type
case
of guy
they
he
need.
is.
Yeah. But shout out to Jason, man, because like I say, I want to give the man his flowers because the impact that I know he's had on Finland over the years, just from what I've seen in the time I was there, big. Anytime somebody that's from America lives in Finland and they consistently give, to the football culture every year in, year out. Shout out to Jason for that. I hope he have a lot of success, this year with those guys. Even if they don't have the depth, I know he still knows that team a chance. So just shout out to Jason for that, though.
Yeah, man. I'm excited about this team because I know that they now have the fitted snapbacks. And that means that I need to get one. I say this almost every year. If you got a snapback, first of all, I would like to pick UNC, but if I don't got a snapback, I might be less inclined. And my bad, I mean Lohja, not UNC. I might be less inclined to pick if I don't got a snapback. You know how many snapbacks I got from Porvoo? I got 2. I got a regular snapback and a championship snapback. I'm still waiting on a snapback from Crocodiles. But Lohja, since we got snapback, somebody make sure you get one to me. Hit me in the DMs. I give you my address, pay for postage and all that stuff. Because I'm not going to Lohja. Sorry. I can't do it.
I can't do it.
I can't bring myself to go to Lohja.
I can't do it. You know what? I have a snapback from Kuopio, and I sent somebody to go get it for me. Like somebody was in Kuopio, and I was like, "Yeah, I can't go to Kuopio, but here's the money. Bring me the hat back." And that's how I ended up with that. I think they shipped it to me. Matter of fact, I'm willing to do the same thing in Lohja. Just somebody let me know how I can get it, and we'll work all that stuff out. But we do wish the Crusaders good luck this season, and we'll be watching every week here on the AFF podcast. Make sure you guys subscribe, follow, like, and share on all social media channels at American Football in Finland. Until next time, never forget
T
I
F.
We gone.